Hi everybody, it's me, Miss Lisa, and welcome to Stitch Kids. Today the project we are going to work on is called Your Name in Thread. And what you are going to do is learn a few basic embroidery stitches and practice those stitches while spelling your name, and then we'll turn it into a beautiful decoration. For this project, you will need a craft kit from the South Huntington Public Library. Your craft kit will include 2 pieces of canvas fabric, assorted embroidery thread, an embroidery hoop, a piece of ribbon, and a compact disc, and a design template that you'll use for practicing your name. You will need to provide a pair of scissors, some heavy-duty glue, a pencil, and your pin pal. If you don't have your pin pal handy, all you'll need is a needle threader today and an embroidery needle. That would be one of the needles with a wide eye at the top. All right, let's get started. Before you begin stitching, you're going to want to practice writing your name in such a way that it will lend itself well to being stitched onto fabric. So for this, you'll use your design template and you'll put your name in the center of these circles like this. I've put my name in here or my first initial in 3 different ways, and I will choose the best design or my favorite design, the one I would like to transfer to the fabric. To transfer your design to your canvas, tape your template to a sunny window. Center your design in the middle of your canvas and use a pencil to trace your design onto your canvas. You can use a pencil so the lines will erase after you're finished sewing. If you use a pen, the lines will stay there forever. You may not want that. Okay, have the little embellishments around the outside. You can always add more embellishments later if you would like, but for now, we're going to just work on the design you have on your template. And after your design is finished, trace the circle so you'll know where to put your embroidery hoop before you begin stitching. Okay, there you go. After your design has been transferred to the fabric, it's time to put the fabric into the embroidery hoop, which will hold the fabric while you are stitching. So you'll want to loosen the screw at the top of the hoop and push the inner loop out. Place your fabric with the circle line over the inner circle of the hoop. Put the outer hoop around it and push down so your fabric is being pulled nice and tight. You may need to use your fingers to pull a little bit more. The important thing is that this stays nice and tight. Don't worry if the outside pencil marks from your design are showing. We're not going to sew on those. We're not going to stitch on those, so it's all right that they're there. The important thing is that your design is in the center of the circle and that you can get the needle through the back and up through the front without hitting the embroidery hoop. Once your fabric is in there nice and tight, turn the screw to tighten the outside loop. This will hold your fabric while you're stitching. There we go. I don't think it's going to move. Okay. And now you're ready to begin stitching. Embroidery is a way of decorating fabric using nothing more than a needle, some colored thread, and a variety of different kinds of stitches that will create texture in a design. So today I'm going to teach you just a few basic embroidery stitches which you will use to fill in your design. The first stitch I'm going to show you is a straight stitch. This is an example of a straight stitch. It's just a basic stitch, one after the other, leaving a little bit of fabric showing between the stitches. To do a straight stitch, bring your needle up where you'd like to start from the back of the fabric, pushing through to the front and putting your needle through the line on your pattern. Decide how long you would like your stitch to be and push the needle down and pull it through. There's your first stitch. Now, staying on the line in your pattern, leave some space between the first stitch and the start of your second stitch. Pull. And now you'll want to make your stitch about the same length as the first stitch. And you'll continue as far as you would like to go. Perhaps you would like to outline your whole initial in a straight stitch, or do a color on one side and then switch to another color. That's up to you. Be creative with the thread. It's kind of like you're coloring, but with thread. Okay, I'm almost at the end. And I'm going to make a little tiny straight stitch right here to finish this side of the L. All right. The next stitch I'd like to show you is called a stem stitch, and it is very similar to the straight stitch, but it involves an extra step. So I'm going to begin as if I'm making a straight stitch, but before pulling all of the thread through the canvas, I'm going to hold this loop with my thumb and bring the needle up halfway between those 2 points, between the start of the stitch and the finish. Pull. There we go. And now continue as if you were going to make another straight stitch. Push the needle down, pull your thread, leaving a little loop. Push the needle up halfway between those 2 points. Pull, and then pull gently while letting go of the loop. And now you can see the difference between the straight stitch and the stem stitch. The stem stitch is another good outline stitch, and the difference is that there are no spaces between the stitches. It makes a solid line rather than a dotted line. Like so. So there is the straight stitch, which looks like a dotted line, and the stem stitch, which is solid. All right, before we continue, let's tie this off. Turn your project over, push the needle under the last stitch that you made, making a loop. Put your needle through the loop and pull. You can do that twice if you would like to make a double knot. I think one knot will be just fine for now. And trim your thread. The next stitch I'd like to show you is a satin stitch. The satin stitch is used to fill in a big space. I use the satin stitch on this sample to make stripes on the letters of my name. On this one, I used a satin stitch to fill in a shape, in this case I made a little heart over the letter I. Satin stitch is very similar to a straight stitch. Following your pattern, you come up through the back with your knotted thread. I'm going to switch to green this time. And then put it back through the canvas at the other side of your pattern. For the next stitch, bring the needle up as close as you can to the first stitch, staying on the line of your pattern. Pull very gently, and then you push the needle in very close to where your last stitch ended, keeping the needle on the line of your pattern. And then just continue. You can make your letter one solid color if you would like, or you can do a few satin stitches and change to another color to make some stripes. It's up to you. You can be creative and have fun with it. So you'll just continue for as far as you would like to go in the color that you are working with. The last stitch I'm going to show you is the French knot. And the French knot looks exactly like it sounds. It's a little knot that rests on the top of the fabric. It's used for embellishing and for decorating, and you'll see that it adds a little bit of texture to your piece. French knots are difficult. If you don't master it today, just keep trying. It takes a lot of practice to get it and to get it to look good. A hint I will give you is this. Use a shorter piece of embroidery floss than you normally would. You want the knot to end up on your fabric, not in the middle of your thread that you're using to embroider. Okay, so to do a French knot, you'll come up from the back, pushing the needle through the center of where you would like the knot to be. Pull gently, and then with the hand that's not working with the needle, move the thread to the side so that you can wrap the thread around the needle like so, 1, 2 times. Then push the needle back through the fabric very close to where it came up the first time. And then pull very gently, like so. And there is your French knot. So let's try one more. That one is a little puffy. It should be a little bit flatter than that. If you don't like it, simply cut your thread in the back, like this. Cut the thread and just pull the stitch out, and you can start again. Okay, so just to repeat, push the needle through the center of where you would like the knot to be. Pull gently. Hold the thread gently with the hand that is not working with the needle. Wrap this thread around the needle 2 times. Push the needle back through, kind of holding onto the thread with your thread hand. Pull the thread very slowly. Let go, and there you go. There's another French knot. All right, so relax, have fun, take your time, and make your design as colorful as you can. I'll see you in a while. Before you begin this next section, I just would like to point out to you that the CD has a label side and a shiny side. In the video that follows, I have the shiny side facing up, and I am gluing strips of the fabric to the shiny side, and my design is up against the label side. I think it would be better if you put your design against the shiny side and do your gluing on the label side. This way, the design that's on the CD will not show through your fabric. Now that you've put a lot of effort into making a beautiful stitched piece, you may want to hang it, display it somewhere in your home. So you can leave it in your embroidery hoop, trim the fabric away from the hoop, and put a ribbon through the top, and you can hang it on a wall. However, if you'd like to do more embroidery, you can remove your piece from the embroidery hoop, and you can use your embroidery hoop again to make something new. Perhaps instead of doing your name, you might want to make your own drawing of some animals or flowers, something like that. Okay. So what we're going to do is put your stitched fabric onto one of these used, discarded compact discs from the library. So in a way, we're doing a little bit of recycling while we're making a beautiful piece of art. Start by turning your design over, and then add some glue to one side of the CD. It doesn't need to be a lot. In fact, you should probably make sure that it's not a lot of glue because you don't want the glue to soak through your fabric. But you want enough on there so that it will stay stuck to your design. And now push it down onto your design. We can turn it over to make sure the design is laying flat on the CD, like this. Push it down and we'll give it a few seconds to dry. When you think it's sticking, you can turn this over. And now we're going to glue the sides in so that we don't see the edges of our fabric. But here is a bit of a trick. When you are gluing something onto a circle, cut some strips, maybe every 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or so in the fabric around the circle. Over here we don't have much, so we'll just trim that later, but here on these longer parts, you can get rid of some of this extra fabric that we don't need and cut the scraps into little strips. This will help the fabric to lay flatter against your CD. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Okay, now we've got glue. We'll glue each one of these little pieces of fringe. We'll just do a couple at a time. Fold them over and press it onto the CD. This might be a little tricky. Just take your time with it. Let's see, I think we'll trim that part there. We'll stick with these long ones on the side. Just a dot of glue will do. And you'll go all the way around your CD until all of the fringe is stuck to the back of the CD. Okay, so continue. In the places where you do not have enough fabric to fold over, just very carefully take your scissors and trim right around it, like that. And you'll see how cutting those little strips of fabric makes this lay nice and flat with no corners. Okay, so continue all the way around the CD, and then we'll add a ribbon for hanging. Okay, now I'd like to hang this, so I'm going to find the top. That looks like the top, and just add a ribbon with a little bit of glue. like so. And I would let it dry for 30 minutes or so before you hang it. Well, Stitch Kids, thank you so much for stitching with me. I hope you had fun. I look forward to seeing your projects and sewing with you again soon. Take care.